Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we talk about horror movies on this show. And this episode, we are returning to a franchise that we've been working our way through for a few months now. This is going to be A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. So we'll start spoiler free, as we always do. We'll warn you about spoilers before we get to them, somewhere in the middle, and this is going to be the show. We're going to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street 4. We've talked about the first three, of course. You can find those on the channel or on the audio feed if that's where you're listening to this. But here we are. So yeah, and we loved 3, didn't we, Tim?
Wait, what?
Part 3.
Oh, yeah.
Dream Warriors. We like Dream Warriors.
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
I thought you said we love to eat, and I was like, well, yeah, I guess.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Absolutely. Yes. So Nightmare on Street 4. We pick up where the third one kind of left off a little bit later, and the 3. I mean, obviously, no spoilers for this one yet, but I mean, it's hard to, given that we have survivors from the last movie, I kind of have to, mild spoilers for the last one. But the 3 survivors of the last film are now sort of in a more normal lives. They're going to high school, and there's a new group of characters as well who are friends with these characters. And of course, Freddy comes back, and it's worth mentioning they recast the main actress from the last movie. Rosanna Arquette has been recast in this one. It's the same character.
Is it Patricia Arquette?
Oh, Patricia, you're right. It's Patricia Arquette. I'm mixing my Arquettes up. But yeah, Patricia Arquette. Yeah, so she was recast. And so she's maybe the same character. And, so that's kind of like annoying because it's like, you recast the main character in the sequel. The other 2 kids, though, Kincaid and Joey are the same actors, though.
Yeah, the actress they recast isn't bad. It's just...
Yeah, it's not that she's like a huge step down or anything. It's just like, it's just annoying. It's like, okay, she's maybe the same actress, the same character. So you have to kind of put up with that. Interestingly, though, her mother, who only had a couple of scenes in the last film, is the same actress in this. Who again is only in like 2 scenes, but it's the same actress. I thought, okay, they went to the effort of having her come back. Very good. I mean, not that's the movie's fault. I mean, if Arquette didn't want to come back, then she didn't want to come back. I mean.
Yeah.
not much to do about it. But hey, so Freddy comes back, even though we pretty definitively killed him in the last movie. But of course they wanted a 4th film, so this came out in 1988, and we're going to get into it. So Tim, I'm going to ask the question before we obviously. I think there's so much plot stuff that I want to talk about, but it's all spoilers filled. So let's just start with the question. Tim, do you enjoy A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master?
Well, if you recall, I think when we were talking about the third one, I do think you mentioned something about how it was like the last good one and all the other ones were garbage, and I was kind of keeping tight-lipped because I wanted to wait for this episode because I actually like this one quite a bit. It's not as good as Dream Warriors or the first one, but I think it is still a very good Nightmare sequel. I think it kind of gets a little unfairly maligned because I feel like a lot of people agree with that, like, oh yeah, like Dream Warriors is the best, and that kind of ends there. Like story wise, there's some stuff that I don't love. It's a little bit of a step down, but I think it's still a lot of fun, and I think the kills in this are really good. Like they have like this kind of like I think they really play into like the dream like quality of them, and I like it quite a bit. I would say. Interesting.
Well, here's a bit of a surprise for you, Timmy. I actually didn't think this was as bad as I remembered it to be.
Okay, cool.
It's better than I thought it was. I do think it has a big case of we wanted a sequel, so we just forced the plot to fit the fact that we wanted another film. Yeah. There's a few elements of that. The fact that Freddy's back with no explanation. There's like no explanation why he's back. It just didn't work. He's back.
Yeah.
So
I'll agree to that. Yeah.
Yeah. But and there's some stuff that did make me laugh in a very unintentional way toward because this movie's kind of weird in places, even for a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of like 80s cheese in play here.
Yeah. It's directed by Rennie Harlin, who went on to direct Die Hard 2, amongst other action films, but he got his start here with this. And there's some weird things about like obviously what's the character's name? Arquette's character from the last movie. She had the power to pull people in. Kristen, there you go, to pull people into her dreams, right? That was her big thing. And there's some weird evolution of that in this one that is very bizarre. But there is some fun stuff to be had. It does commit some sequel sins, though, of how it treats the characters from the previous film that do upset me.
If I have one big complaint, it would be about, I think what you're talking about.
Yeah. Not only does it do the thing that I don't like about what sequels do to its characters from the previous film, it does it very quickly to all of them. Like, it's like very, like, back to back. This happens to multiple characters. But, hey, you know, it's the thing.
You know, I kind of wonder, it feels like I think this movie would be a lot better if it wasn't forced with kind of having to be a quick sequel to, like, the best or, like, most beloved Nightmare movie, because it feels like there's a lot of good stuff in here, but then it's kind of either.
I agree with the kills. I think the kills are really inventive and fun. And I think there are some fun cheesy moments that I do really like. There's some bad acting, like even for like this franchise. There's some really awkward, clunky dialogue towards the start that was really bizarre to me. But you know, that's what it is.
But yeah, I think like if you know, if you're someone who watched the series like, you know, a while ago, and you kind of only have, you know, memories of like, you know, the first and third one, I think this is a kind of a nice surprising one to go back to and be like, it's not going to blow you away. It's not, you know, up to the standards of, you know, the first or the third one, but I think it is like a surprisingly good one that, maybe not as many people recognize.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. There's some fun stuff there. I was having fun. I think it's definitely better in the first half. I think when it gets to the final fight and how like Freddy's, you know, I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that he's defeated again at the end, because it's, you know,
that's really cool.
That's how these movies work. When he gets defeated, I thought like some of the logic for that just came out of almost nowhere, and like, okay, I guess this works now. This is how you beat him. Like, sure. Why?
I feel like that's kind of like a little par in course for the series, though. Like, yeah, like if you remember, like in the very first movie, like out of nowhere, like, you know, all of a sudden, like, you know, Nancy's just kind of like, I don't believe in you. You don't have any power anymore. He's like, no, and it's kind of like, okay, not sure where that came from, but
I think that gets away with it in the first movie to a point. But I think it's when you get to the fourth movie here, and like all of a sudden he has this weakness, and it's like, wait, what? We've had 4 movies with him. When was this a thing?
Yeah, it's definitely like that sequel thing where it's like, well, yeah, we can't just keep doing the same thing, so yeah, just throw this thing in here.
Yeah, just a slight fast forward to Freddy versus Jason, but in that movie he's suddenly afraid of fire, when that has never been a thing up until that point. I mean, I know you get burned alive, but you know, he was never afraid of fire. Like, that was never a thing. But hey, it was just
no one's ever tried this before.
No, you bitch! Burning me alive. What? But no. I think if I'm going to give a standout Freddy moment in this one, without getting to spoilers, I think I'll just say the beach scene with the Jaws-esque Freddy hand, which is not only in the water, but then comes out of the sand and is going through the sand in the beach.
That was awesome.
That was a really, really fun time. And you get Freddy with the sunglasses and so on. So no. But that's okay. I think we'll just get to spoilers. I think, you know, we're not even hitting 10 minutes, but I think this is one where we're going to talk about spoilers. We're going to talk about characters and what they're like. Obviously, you've got a cast of characters who are there to be killed off. We have the 3 survivors from the previous film who are unfortunately all killed in the movie, which is kind of annoying, especially since 2 of them die back to back really quickly.
Joey and Kincaid.
And I like those characters. It feels like such a waste to just kill them off like that.
Yeah, it's because that was like one of the big things that you really like about the, you know, third one is, you know, it takes time to actually develop characters and give you interesting, unique people that you kind of root for. I mean, it's almost like a, you know, it feels kind of comic booky. Like they're almost like a superhero team at this point. And then, to just kind of get rid of them like very, you know, like unceremoniously kind of right away. It's kind of a bummer.
It kind of sucks, but that's not to say that, you know, in the junkyard, the scene where Kincaid dies, where Freddy comes back from the grave, if you will. I mean, it's a fun looking scene, and then again, Joey, when he's the attractive woman's in his waterbed.
The waterbed,
yeah, and he gets killed that way, like, you know, and you know, Freddy's like, "How's this for a wet dream?" Like, you know, it's a classic Freddy scene. It's just annoying that they're killing these characters, and then the big thing with Kristen is that she is like, you know, more and more she's getting like. Freddy wants more victims, but no one knows about him, so she wants her to pull other people into the dream, because once they see him, once they experience him, that's it. He's locked on to them.
Because if you remember, like, these we're starting to get to this point where, like, these kids, like, have powers, which I think is, like, pretty cool concept. That was, like, the big thing of Dream Warriors. And then Kristen's power was to drag other people into her dreams, and
she does it. I like how she does it casually at the start, where she pulls Joey and Kincaid in, and they're just like, oh, come on, Kristen, again, let me get my sleep, like, so.
And then, that's interesting. And then it's, and I think it's actually, like, an interesting plot that, Freddy, is going to manipulate that to get more victims. Like, it's like, okay, this is, like, interesting. Yeah,
he wants to pull in. And of course, it's actually, I mean, Kristen is alive for a while. It's like 40 minutes in when she dies. But she kind of accidentally pulls in Alice at that point, or just sort of new main character, who's very clearly the new main character. Even at the start when she's, like, friends with Kristen, it's like, okay, we're going to shift to her. It feels like it. But there's this weird moment as she's, like, dying. She's like throw in the furnace. She's like, "Hey, Atlas, you're going to need my superpower," and she throws, and there's like a light that travels to her, and I'm like, "What? How can you do this? When was this established? You can just pass on your superpower? What?"
What's weird is, like, and you kind of start to see this throughout the rest of the movie, is, like, her power is that, I guess, like, she absorbs other people's powers.
Alice has her own superpower, which is that when anyone she knows that she's brought into the dream dies by Freddy's hands, she inherits any of their abilities and knowledge, right?
Which I mean, it's, like, kind of cheesy, but I also think, like, kind of cool. Like, I like, when you start to get towards the end and you see, like, oh, like, she knows, like, martial arts and stuff now. It's like,
even before she gets that power, like, as soon as it cut to her brother and he's in his room and he's got, like, the headband on and he's doing, like, karate, I'm like, what is this? What am I watching?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that's a fair reaction to have, but because honestly, I just think it's a lot of fun though.
The best scene in the movie might be the scene, because she's taken on a little bit of the knowledge and the sayings of her other friends. The nerdy girl who died with the asthma, or a little like asthma at least, during the physics test.
I think that might be one of my favorite kills in the movie. Just, like, seeing, like, her, like, all lifeless, sucked out body.
Yeah. It's fun how, like, Alice can see it because she's also, like, in the dream, but all the rest of the class are all just working on the test because they're awake. That was, like, a nice little touch. So the kills are inventive, actually. I have to give the kills some credit. The beach one being my favorite, but they're all quite good. But, like, no, so like, my favorite scene in the movie might actually be, and this is kind of in a cheesy bad way, but I love it, is when she, like, picks up the nunchucks after her brother's died. Like, her brother eventually dies, and she picks up his nunchucks, and she's just very, very slowly, and like a child, just starts moving them, and it looks really pathetic. And then she slowly starts to get better at it, and then she eventually starts just whipping them around, and she's, like, putting them under her arm, and it's like the music starts, it's this rock music, this 80s rock music starts playing, and she's, like, whipping around the nunchucks, and I'm like, what is this movie? What am I watching? What's happening?
I'm not gonna lie, by the time the movie was over, I was kind of tempted to go over to iTunes and look up the soundtrack here, because, like, it's a pretty rocking.
Oh yeah, I mean, I even tweeted when I started watching the movie during the opening titles, like, I forgot this jam, this rocking jam that it starts with. It's very upbeat.
Yeah, like, if you like kind of, like, cheesy 80s pop music, I think this is a pretty good movie for that.
I'd say maybe the sort of pop hair metal. I'd say it's sort of between the pop and the hair metal is kind of where it lands.
And I don't know if you watched all of the credits, but at one point, Freddy does rap.
I did not watch all of the credits. I'm not going to lie, Tim. I was watching this on a deadline because we were going to start recording, and I had to watch Tales from the Crypt after it. So I immediately, as soon as the credits hit, I turned it off and put in Tales. Okay. that was my time watching this and the Tales. But
do you think that Freddy and the Crypt Keeper, would they get along, or do you think they would, like, feel like, they're both trying to do, like, the cheesy puns and stuff? Do you think they would, like, kind of feel threatened by each other?
I think they get along.
Okay, all right.
I feel like there'd be no point in them killing each other because they're both already dead.
Right.
So they just kind of, like, put up with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I feel like if anything, they just try and keep out punning each other. The Crypt Keeper would make a pun, and if you're like, that sucks. No, this is a better pun. And he would do his pun, and it just,
See, like, I feel like it'd be the kind of thing where, like, I don't know if you've had this before, but, like, I've had friends where they'll be like, like, oh, like you like comic books, like you got to meet my friend who loves comic books, like you guys will get along so well, and then like you meet him and like you're kind of like, and this guy thinks he knows more than me, like you kind of you gotta like
I don't know if I've
test
had
him
that. I think I've had, oh, you have to meet this person because they like this thing as well. But like it'll be a broad thing like comic books, so you'll meet the person and it'll be like, oh, I like, like X type of comic book, and then the other person's like, well, no, I only like independent comic books that come from very poor artists. I don't like this, any mainstream, and I like some indie comics, but like I don't like any of these mainstream superhero things.
Yeah.
I look down upon them. Someone really snooty about it, and it's like, okay, you assumed I would get along with this person because they like comic books like me, but it's like someone saying to us, oh, you'll love this person because they're into horror films, but then we'll meet them and like, oh, my favorite horror movie is Saw 3, and it's like, well, goodbye.
Yeah, sorry.
Goodbye, scumbag. I'm away.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I've definitely been in that situation.
Yeah. And then you just kind of have to, you don't want to be a dick, because you don't really know the person, so you can't just be like, oh, you're an idiot. Right? You're just like, oh, no, I'm not really into that, I like these. And it's just kind of awkward, because you actually don't have anything in common, even just because the other person has terrible taste. But that's, nah, here, not there. Anyway, what were we talking about? Yes, nunchucks. She was nunchucking, and she has like and this is the thing, this is where it was like, I was starting to see the potential in the movie as like its own separate thing. I think it falters because it spends so much time transferring from the last main character from the last movie over to Alice, that by the time it gets to Alice sort of like building up her story, it's just like a few deaths, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's time to like suit up. And she has that scene where she puts on like clothes from all of her friends who, like, it's the headband from her brother, it's the leather jacket from another friend, it's the spike bracelet from another one. It's like, she's like, oh yeah, I'm a badass, I am an assembly of all of the warriors, I am the dream master.
It's cool. Like I like this idea and this concept, and it does feel kind of like comic booky. Like like she's putting on a suit, she's getting these powers. It's like it's exciting, and it's a thing that we mentioned before that we like a lot, where characters being proactive, they're not waiting around.
Absolutely.
Like, when am I gonna die? It's like, she's like, Alice is cool, she's badass, and you're really looking to forward to that fight.
Couple of scenes I want to mention with Alice though that really cracked me up, not necessarily intentionally. This one's meant to be intentional, I think, though, is when her brother, because she keeps getting picked on by her father. Her father's kind of a drunk who's always mad at her, and always because. But the first time we see her with her father, he says, "Oh, is that what you're wearing today at school?" As if it's like a slutty outfit, and she's like wearing the most innocent like thing I've ever seen. She's got like a cardigan over like a flowery dress. It's like the most innocent outfit I've ever seen. Anyway, so, but he shouts at her at dinner for like feeding them some like vegetables. He's like, what am I, a rabbit? And he gives her some shit. So later on, the brother and her up in her bedroom is like, oh, you've got to learn to stick up for yourself, He's like, you can't let him walk all over you, and he wants to like help her. And he does like a jump kick, and he goes like, hiya, and he does a big kick, and he's like, and he's explaining, look, take me for example, it's a mental condition. I think of something I want to do, and my body just like understands and does it, and then he does the jump kick and goes hiya, and he's like, see, just like that. This is an example of that. And I'm like, that's not an example of that. This is an example of you training every day, right? Because then he says, hey, now you, and she's like, what? I can't do that. It's like, no, just think it and you'll do it. And she like does it really shittily, and he's like, no, you have to have balance. I'm like, well, it's not just thinking and then doing then, is it? You have to practice and get better at it.
Like everything in life would be very easy if you could just do that.
The other scene I want to make it, this is Alice being kind of dense, right? I need to like call her out on this. So later in the movie, she's in a dream at one point with Freddy, and Freddy like sees her weightlifting friend, her her female friend who like lifts weights. She's like the one who's kind of also into the guy she's into, Dan, right? And you see her, she's lifting weights, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go after her. So she's like, no, I want to save my friend. So she calls Dan. She runs down to the truck that he's in, and she's like, oh, we have to go. He's gonna get after whatever her name is, Debbie. And we're going to, so they get in the truck and they drive off. And meanwhile, we see like Freddy coming after Debbie, and this is the fun kill scene where he pushes the weights down, and it snaps her elbows, and then the cockroach legs come out of her elbows. It's it's a really fun scene.
Yeah.
But so we see them driving towards it, and then we see it loop. Like they get out of the car, and then they run back around the same corner. It's like, hey, we have to go save Debbie, and they get in the car, and he has like one line where he's like, I get the funniest feeling we've done this before. So it's almost like, so they're in a dream and Freddy's making them loop so they can't get there in time, right? The third time it happens in the loop, she comes running around the corner, she gets to the truck, she's like, and as she says we have to go and save Debbie, he says the same thing at the same time. And they stop and they realise, and she goes, crap, we're still sleeping. He is making his loop so we'll never get to her. Let's go! Do you see the fault in your logic here? You've just acknowledged that he's making you loop, and your plan is to do the exact same thing, get in the truck and start driving again.
You know what? I admire her optimism.
A smart man once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. That is literally this right here. He's making us loop. He's making us loop and go round in circles. He's got power over us. He's making us never get there in the truck, so we can never get to her in time. Let's go.
Well, yeah, I like that reading that she's insane.
She's goddamn insane.
Yeah, no, like she's like a very likable character though. Like,
oh, she's likable, like, sure. She's kind of like to compare her to a character from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She's kind of a Willow vibe to her.
Oh yeah, I can see that definitely. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, like the I don't know, like the dream sequences they just feel like very dreamy. Yeah, to me, like even that, like it definitely feels like, you know, like kind of dream like, you know, you've had before where you're constantly like trying to get somewhere and you keep, I don't know, like feel like you're stuck in like you know, this kind of like time loop or something. And
there's just like obstacles constantly stopping you from getting there.
Yeah, stuff like that's really fun. But yeah, and I love the like I don't know if it's maybe just like an 80s thing, but like like the cheesy like karate-ness of it, like when the guy's actually fighting Freddy.
Oh, this is super cheesy. Yeah, and he thinks he's won.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. How are you going to fight me without your weapon, jackass? And then the glove just like lunges at him. I was like, yeah, it's a dream. He can do whatever he wants. Like, why did you think you were okay? So there's lots of, I mean, you know, I'll critique some of the cheesiness of like, there's this like theme of like she has all of her mirrors covered in like all her photographs of her friends, and she doesn't want to see herself. But then when she's like suiting up to be a badass, she like takes all the photographs down, she looks at herself. So now she's powerful because she's recognizing herself, which is only there to set up that Freddy doesn't want to see a reflection of himself. Because Freddy, if he sees how evil he truly is, he will cease to exist. So she beats him in the final fight. She's fighting him in a church, in a dream, and she holds up a mirror in the church, in the dream. You know, it's like some of the stained glass. It's a reflection of Freddy, and that like defeats him, and all the souls of all of our dead friends have to escape his body. And I'm like, so why is a reflection deadly to him now? Like, and why does it work inside the dream? I mean,
it is definitely weird. But at least it like looks really cool. Like, and I don't know if it's like, I don't know if like part of it is like these souls are now like part of him, you know, like he kind of like, you know, he takes off his like, you know, shirt at one point and you just see like all these like little, you know, like heads and stuff like coming out of his body.
Don't forget the soul food pizza.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Where all the little meatballs on the pizza are the people screaming for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks really cool. But yeah, I don't know if like part of maybe him like looking at his reflection is maybe giving like also the souls that are part of him a chance to see themselves and maybe get power over him, because then like his death is like them kind of reaching out and basically like, you know, kind of like tearing his like body apart basically. So I mean, I don't know if that like has something to do with it, or
I know what last obviously is going to be back for number 5. Like,
yeah, of course.
That's going to happen, but yeah. It's a thing. I do think the ending's a little bit lackluster, but I do like a lot of the ideas. I like the idea of her. I mean, I think it's very abrupt how it like reveals that she's starting to have all these like different abilities from all of her friends.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of it. I like the idea of her suiting up, because again, it's that proactive thing that we love in movies like this, where they're taking the action. They're taking command of the situation and they're going to like try and fight back. I like that. And the death scenes themselves are really cool. There's a lot of things that feel a bit sequely to me, like, oh, we have to kill off the characters in the last movie. You know, there's no good reason why he's back, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Now let me ask you: do you think it maybe might be a little better if, like, I mean, it sucks, you know, having to get rid of, like, you know, characters that we like from the first film, but if they maybe did it quicker, like, you know, first 10-15 minutes they're gone, and we have the setup of this new main character and, you know, her powers and stuff, and then kind of like away we go, as opposed to, you know, kind of having it feel like this weird, like, half of a movie where half feels like a continuation from the Dream Warriors, and then half like, okay, new character now, the Dream Master. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if it'd be better served that way.
I think that would upset me more. That would be that Alien 3 thing where it's like, oh, you're just going to kill them all off in the opening 10 minutes. Like, I think that would upset me. I think maybe the better option would be just to, like, I don't know, maybe not have the characters in it. Like, just like, they lived happily ever after. They're fine.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, what if you just like tackle, like, okay, so she you know, Alice has this story of the Dream Master, right? And she kind of becomes the Dream Master by inheriting all these powers. What if she just kind of inadvertently, like, awakens Freddy herself? You know, rather than having characters come back, like, have her, because she's trying to take control of the dream, she does something that wakes Freddy up.
Yeah, no, actually, I like that. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
And then just go from there. And, you know, you just have these characters and you have her, like, collecting their friends' abilities and, you know.
Yeah.
You know, maybe just do that. I think that works.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. Yeah, so I think ultimately, like, certainly a flawed movie, you know, definitely suffers from, sequelitis, but
it's not the worst sequel to watch either, though, right? I mean,
yeah, I think when you think of, like, bad horror sequels, I don't think this falls into that category. Like,
no. You know, it's funny actually, because I feel like I don't think of Rennie Harlin being a great director, but he's actually, you know, I mean, I actually really enjoy Deep Blue Sea. You know, Die Hard 2 is fun enough. Like,
yeah, I think he makes fun movies. Like, he definitely makes, like, watchable movies.
Yes, no, I concur. I think this is very watchable. It's much more watchable than I remembered it being. So no, good props. And of course, Freddy has to do the thing at one point where he's like, "Alice, welcome to Wonderland." Like, he has to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why they named her that. That is the only reason why she's named Alice, is so they could make that line.
And we didn't even talk about Freddy dressing up like the nurse. Oh
yeah, that's a great scene where it's Kristen, like, she wakes up, or she thinks she's woken up, and it's like, it's Robert Englund just as a nurse, like, he's dressed as a woman. And
it took me a second to be like, this lady looks weird, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just Freddy. It's secretly Freddy the whole time. That's a really fun little scene. I think that's the frustrating thing about the movie, is that overall it's not that great a movie, but the deaths and the Freddy scenes are so inventive and fun that it's hard to, like, be completely mad at it, because at least they're having fun with the actual Freddiness of it. So, you know, so points where points are earned. Another good Freddy line is when Kristen does bring Alice into the dream for the first time. Freddy turns around and goes, "How sweet, fresh meat." You know, because you know, at first Kristen's going to, like, basically let herself die. It's like, okay, well, I'm the last of the Elm Street's children. You can't go after anyone else. The idea being that finally the kids that he's going after are new people that aren't anything to do with the parents that murdered his himself. You know, in fact, I liked how she called out her mum in that. But it was like, oh yeah, you and your barbecue friends, you know, killed this guy, and now we're all paying the price for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like a funny evolution of the character, because he's like, you can see, like, how much cheesier he gets. Like, I don't think he's full on the, you know, super punny Freddy that I think a lot of people think of. Like, I think he still has a little bit of menace in this. I mean, but he is definitely making jokes.
I don't know if he still has menace per se. I don't think he's too far low. I think the level of Freddy in this is a level that I'm happy to keep having fun with. I think
he's not like full on Bugs Bunny.
I think it's when you get to like the sixth one where they've went far too far, and it's like, okay, this has ruined the character. I think this is kind of the equivalent to me of, like, in Friday the 13th, where Jason, okay, he's not scary after, like, 2 and 3 really that much, but he gets to a point where he's a fun slasher where you're enjoying him killing people in 6. I feel like in this movie I'm enjoying Freddy killing people, and that's that's fun. That's the fun of it, and that'd be fine if they kept going just down that path. But we'll get to 5 in a bit, and you'll see what we think of 5. But hey, so no, I guess that's a nice succinct discussion on Freddy 4, the Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. And the concept of the Dream Master is just kind of shoehorned in. There's a couple. Actually, that was one of those clunky bits of dialogue for me. Is when Alice like first brings up, "Oh, my mother always told me about the Dream Master," and you know, he's like, she had this little rhyme, and like Kristen just says, "It sounds like make believe to me," and I'm like, "You have been hunted in your dreams by Freddy Krueger, and you're going to like give her shit for this little belief." And then she's like, "Oh, like, how do you know so much about dreams?" Which again, coming from Kristen, feels like a kind of like a bit of hypocritical. Like she knows so much about dreams because of the Freddy history that it's weird for her to like question why someone else does. But you know, she responds like, "Oh well, you don't have much else. You know, when dreams are all you have, you get to know a lot about them." And I'm like, that was like super depressing. Come on, cheer up, Alice. Life's not that bad. Such a melodramatic line. There's a couple of other things like that, like when they first introduced all the other characters, when the nerdy girl comes in the bike and they're joking about her, like, oh, maybe your hormones will kick in one day and stuff like that, or the moment when Alice like daydreams that Dan comes up and like talks to her, because you know Debbie says, "Oh, he's such a hunk," so then Alice daydreams that Dan walks up to her and she's like, "Dan, you're such a hunk," and she's like, "Oh, thanks," but then she's just daydreaming. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I guess that's setting up that she can control her dreams. She's dreaming nice things because she wants them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel like they try to set up like way too hard that she's like, you know, very meek and mild and stuff. But it's like, you know, hey, like, you know, she's like a likable character. You want to see her have like some fun, like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because they go so hard into the meek, so that the idea is that when she suits up in the leather jacket at the end and she looks in the mirror, she's like, "F yeah!" It's like, oh, she's transformed. She's become a badass. You know, so
like, no, see, she had an arc. See.
Yeah, I guess she did. A lot of her friends died for it, but yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that's actually something I wanted to mention as well, is Kristen, when she's like, having that scene at the table with her mother, you know, the one that ends with her like being mad because she's like snuck some sleeping pills into her drink.
Oh, yeah.
At one point, like, her mother's like, "Oh, you know, honey, you've got to stop moping around." And Kristen quite rightly says, "Hey, how about two of your friends dying the same day and we'll see what it does to your appetite?"
Yeah.
And then she just says, "Oh no, you're just too stressed. You're not sleeping enough." I'm sorry, she's a horrible mother. If two of your friends die in the same day, you're going to be absolutely devastated, right?
Yeah, I think I feel like you get a free pass for at least a year.
This was just an inhumane moment for me from the mother. This was like, no, mother doesn't understand. It's like, no, two of your friends, especially when you're a teenager and your friends are dying at that age. Like, that's weird.
Yeah,
and hard to take. So
yeah, it's strange because the adults in the Nightmare series are usually very level-headed and easy to talk to. So it's strange in this movie.
You're being facetious, Tim. I can tell. The adults may not have helped them in the first movie too much, but at least in the first movie, like, it felt like more typical, like the parents are hiding things, they're being kind of like, you know, they're discrediting what you're saying kind of thing. Like, whereas here this is just flat out, no parent would just assume that their kid should get over the fact that two of their friends just died in the same day.
Oh, come on. It's been 2 days already. What are you gonna...
It's the same day! It's the same night. It's the night she found out during the day, and this is like dinner that night.
All right, so she's had time to grieve and whatnot.
I'm just saying she's a horrible mother. Awful mother. But I'm glad they got the same actress back from the third movie.
Yeah.
Remember when she wanted to have sex with her date and she got mad that her daughter was like upset about something, so she sent her off to a psychiatry ward? Remember that?
Oh yeah.
that was her. That was her. This is an awful mother. She's awful. Anyway, I guess we'll wrap up. That's a nice conversation on Nightmare 4. So yeah, Tim, what did you think? What would you rate it out of 10?
So yeah, I mean, it's definitely flawed. There's I guess like the main things I would deduct points for would just be like some of the story stuff. But like, I mean, the one thing I love about this series in general is just the kills and how inventive they are, and I think this one has really cool inventive ones that I like, and I do like the characters. So actually, I give it a pretty high score. I give it a 7.5.
Woofed!
Yeah,
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. I mean, again, like, it's not as good as the ones that come before it, but I really do like this series, and I think it's a very decent sequel. If it just didn't suffer from some of the sequel stuff and maybe had maybe a more cohesive plot, like I could see it being actually something a lot more enjoyable, maybe on the level of like Dream Warriors or something. But yeah, that being said, it's still a really fun watch for me.
No, that's fair. I can't go as high as that, but I did like it more than I thought. I remembered it being really mediocre.
Yeah.
I think I would bump it to more of a 6 out of 10. I think. I think
That's fair. Yeah.
I think it's an enjoyable 6. I think it's got a lot of problems that I think are very valid. It's nowhere near as good as 3 or 1, but
Definitely.
I remember being actually kind of pleasantly surprised that 2 was kind of a decent movie, even if it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, would I rate this like, what did I give 2? I give 2 a bit of 6 as well. I feel like they're both kind of in this weird. They're kind of sequels that don't do exactly what you want them to do. But
Yeah, I feel like this, like, I mean, again, we talked before about how everyone kind of has like usually like their one franchise that they really like and stuff, and this is obviously there's a lot that I like, but this is my favorite, and I do feel like it's one where when you actually sit down and watch a lot of them, I feel like it doesn't necessarily like match up the what you have in your head, because I do feel like most people think of the what Freddy ultimately became, the very cheesy groaning pun guy, which yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, we'll get there, but I think there's a lot of movies before that though that are still really good and fun and effective, and yeah, I like it.
yeah, 4's better than I remember. I'll give it credit. So
I'm glad.
But yeah, so no, I think it's a decent 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Enjoyable 6 out of 10. But I wouldn't go as high as what you're going to, which is almost great. So, but yeah, so that's cool. So obviously we will be back with number 5 at some point. And
The Dream Child.
yeah, I'm going to 5 and 6 are not good movies. I will be shocked if I have a better opinion of 5 than I did from before, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Do you remember liking 5? Are you expecting to like 5 when you watch it again?
I, we'll see. Because I feel like the last time I rewatched them, it had been a while, and I do think there was one or two that I was surprised about. And I'm thinking it was 4, but who knows? Maybe it might have been a little surprised with 5 as well. So that
okay.
6, I 100% know my feelings on that. That I don't need any reminders, but
yeah. 6, we're going into Garbageville with that.
Oh, spoiler alert.
And I never finished the remake, so we'll see how we feel about the remake when we get to it.
Oh god. Oh. Yeah.
But it's coming. It's coming.
Oh boy.
But hey, that has been Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. So yeah, 5 will be coming in a month or 2, depending. It depends how the schedule lines up. We're working through a few franchises, of course. We're working through Friday the 13th and Phantasm, as well as the Howling franchises. So you can expect the Howling 5. I think that's the next sort of sequel franchise movie that we've got on the docket. That won't be next in terms of the show necessarily, but it'll be the next sequel we do out of those batches. So, but no, let us know what you think of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 in the comments. If you want to support the show and the channel, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You get to vote on a movie every month if you're a patron at the $5 tier. You also get to add movies to the crypt, which is like a to-do list of movies that our patrons add to. Everyone can see the list, but the patrons can submit movies to it. So you go check out that. And obviously there's other bonuses for other shows as well. Obviously that's a good way to support us. We can also support us by liking, subscribing, all the usual stuff. Watch the ads on the YouTubes, that kind of thing. It helps us out a lot. But yeah, so get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz, like I said. You can get Tim on Twitter at Tim Vergulish. You can get me on Twitter at Wibble89. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.